Hi, I'm Marlo from Wild Food UK. It's the 19th of October and welcome to another Wild Food UK video. I'm in one of the fields near to my house today and I've come up with a little bit of a theme for this video. I'll tell you that in just a second. But before I do, I'll tell you one of the reasons that I love foraging. It's that it's such a broad topic that really honestly you can never stop learning, because it involves botany, dendrology, mycology, cooking, folklore, herbal medicine, a little bit of entomology, possibly a bit of geology thrown in as well. It's just a massive topic and you can never stop learning if you're interested in what we do. In the mycology section though, there's a little saying that I've heard so many times, and it's that the more you learn, the less you know. And I'm gonna basically theme this video around that. Now, I'm gonna start off down here and explain what I'm talking about, because I'm sure any of you new to this channel, you'll probably already know what a wood blewit is. A wood blewit is a lovely edible mushroom which is sought after by chefs, tastes fantastic, and it's reasonably distinctive. It's a very safe one for foragers because there aren't any poisonous lookalikes. But what you might not know is that there, in the UK anyway, there's at least 3 different types of wood blewit that you might be picking when you're picking a wood blewit. Now, I've got one of the slightly less common versions down here, a little delicate version. This is not the Lepista or Clitus Ivy or whatever it is this week, nuda. This is the Lepista sordida, the sordid blewit, which is a different type of blewit, much more delicate, as you can see there, much thinner stem. Almost, if there was any sun, almost translucent around the edges. In fact, it is just about around the edges of the cap. Still with that beautiful lilac colouring of the blewit though. This is the first one of a few that I'm going to show you today, where you might have thought you knew it all, but mushrooms can still surprise you. So let's head this way. This is one. I'm not going to pick any more of these, but I've picked this one. So this one can go in the bag. And now let's have a look behind me at our next mushroom. Our next, the more you learn, the less you know mushroom. And it's this beautiful mushroom here. This is it, nice and young. I'm going to be able to show you this one in all different stages of growth. So these are some nice young ones. You can see that orange cap with slightly green tinge to the center. I am actually a little bit colorblind, so you know, whatever colors you see there are probably more correct than what I describe. But if I turn this over, oops, broke it. It doesn't matter because I've got what I need. You'll see those orange gills, and you can see that this is a milk cap. The milk caps are the genus of mushrooms, the Lactarius and Lactifluus, and a few others that have been divided into, are the mushrooms that lactate. Now, where you can see that bright orange around the stem where it's broken there, and where you can see the orange or the darker orange coming through from the gills where I've damaged them, what that is the mushroom lactating an orange fluid. Now, in the milk cap genus, there's quite a few. There's some that lactate white milk, quite a few that lactate white. There's quite a few that lactate yellow, or at least one anyway that lactates yellow. And there's some that lactate a clear fluid. There's some that lactate red. In one of my previous videos, I said that there was only 2 that lactate orange, but subsequently I found out that there's 5, possibly 6 different milk caps that lactate orange. Luckily enough, the rule is still the same. Any milk cap that lactates orange in the UK is edible. And what I've got here is the Lactarius deuterimus. It's the false saffron milkcap. The most sought after of the milkcaps is the saffron milkcap, Lactarius deliciosus. And it's a mushroom that lives up to its name. Now, the false saffron milkcap, you might think that that's maybe a poisonous version. It's not. It's a perfectly edible version. And some people say it's a bit more bitter than the saffron milkcap, but in all honesty, I find it pretty much the same. Now, where I've damaged this, you can still see it's orange. But if we go and have a look round at some of the more mature ones, here you go. There's a more mature one, and this little one here that's been a bit more exposed, you can see it's, well, to me anyway, much more green. Do watch where you tread, Lindsay, because there are so many around. Here's a good example of the zonation you get on the cap of a milk cap. So when you see this circular pattern on the cap of a mushroom of around this size growing in woodland, then you don't normally need to do much more to figure out that it's in the Lactarius genus. That's a very healthy looking specimen that will be going in the bag. But if we come down here, wow, past, I love the fields near my house. Just walking past some lovely fairy ring champignons here. Beautiful mushrooms, really, really tasty. These aren't actually that great looking mushrooms, but for a special reason, I pick these mushrooms even when they're dried up. Watch my video on the fairy ring champignon or the Mousseron, Marasmius oreades, and definitely look out for these little fellas. Look out for a tanny brown cap with a dark umbo in the middle. An umbo is just a mushroomy term for a bump in the middle. And particularly look out for gills that do not, oh, lots of grass on there, that do not touch the stem. Our fairy ring champignons have 3 gills. Not decurrent, which means they run down the stem, or adnex or adnate, which mean that they join on. These are 3 gills. Brief interlude into our Lactarius lesson. So come down here and you can see there's lots more of them around. And what we'll see here on this one that was a little bit more damaged is that there's a bit of green there, but in particular where the milk has aged, it's gone deep red, browny red there, because it's been, I don't know, trodden on yesterday probably. If this was the saffron milkcap, it would have pock marks on the stem, which this doesn't. Pock marks meaning like almost like the scars you get from spots. Well, that's exactly what it means, I suppose. This, as you can see, has a smooth stem. And then pretty much one of the key features that lets me know that we've got the deuterimus here is this tree. So all of the milk caps are mycorrhizal fungus, and the different ones that lactate orange will grow with different types of tree, and they will turn slightly different colours. The milk will go from orange to red to green in some of the others. With this one it stays quite red. But what we've got here is a spruce tree. Can tell that because all of the needles come from one place. They're not like growing in clusters. And that milk change that I showed you from orange to red, and the fact that it's growing with spruce tells me that I've got the Lactarius deuterimus here, the false saffron milkcap, and that makes me a really happy forager. But there are, like I said, 5 potential others, I believe, that have orange milk. So let's continue with the confusion. We'll head over this way. And on we go. So you might have thought you knew the Deceivers. I'm not sure whether you're confident in picking Deceivers or not yet. The Amethyst Deceiver is certainly one that all of you should look up if you haven't started picking that already. But then you might know about the orange side of the Deceiver group of mushrooms, the Lacarias. Down here is one of them. This is the Deceiver, the very famous Deceiver. I believe it's called the Deceiver because it can mature at almost any size. The stem can be, 15 centimeters long, or it can be 3 centimeters long. The cap can be quite large, and also through its life cycle, it will change colour quite a lot. Now, I'll pick these and I'll have a close look. And you can see widely spaced gills like you've got on all of the Deceivers. All of the Deceivers are edible, by the way. You've got these stems that are not straight. I don't know why, but for some reason, Deceivers just never really grow a straight stem. It's almost like they're having some sort of little disco in the woods and the fields that they grow in. Because this curve here is very typical, and I've seen them wrapped around themselves almost in strange ways. Most other mushrooms will grow in funny shapes because of something on top of them or them being tied down by a bit of grass, but Deceivers just seem to do it for a laugh. Anyway, what you might not know is that there's actually 3 different orange Deceivers like this that all look particularly similar. There's the Scurfy Deceiver, Lacaria proxima, which has just a little bit more of this scurfiness on the cap. This might potentially even be it. Hard to tell. The Lacaria lacata, the true Deceiver, which has a shinier cap, and I'm torn between lacata and proxima for this one. And then you've got the Lacaria bicolor, which just has slightly more almost lilac tinged gills and a slight lilac tinge basically to the base of the stem. So got a lovely Deceiver here. Picked a few. They're going to go in the bag, and we will move on, see what else we can find. Here we go, on with the confusion. Come down here, Linz. We've got a lovely little group of mushrooms. These are all in the Agaricus genus. And if you're picking from this genus, then this group of mushrooms, the ones that look like the mushrooms you buy in the shops, the field mushroom, then you need to know about the toxic ones. And everyone knows about the yellow stainer. Not as many people know about this mushroom. Now, if you're picking the white varieties, then really this is not one that you would probably put in your bag. But if you're picking the prints, this is a potential lookalike. Now, this mushroom I believe to be the Inky Mushroom, Inky wood mushroom some people call it, and it's there showing all of the key characteristics of an Agaricus. Got reasonably stout stem, that's not as stout as on many other Agarics. We've got the skirt on the stem, we've got the pink gills on this reasonably young one, and yeah, all of the features of your normal Agaric. Now, the yellow stainer, if you know about that, you'll know that it stains yellow. And you can see that there at the base of the stem of this mushroom. And if, oh look, it's already going yellow just where I've handled it. So let's give it a little bit of help. And if I damage it a bit more, look at that bright yellow staining. There we go. That is our Inky Mushroom. the Agaricus moelleri. The yellow staining is bright and vibrant, just like on your yellow stainer, the Agaricus xanthodermis, and just like the yellow stainer, if I smell this mushroom, I don't get a pleasant edible smell. So the edible members of this genus, this group, you've got the field mushroom, for example, and the horse mushroom. They either smell of, in the case of the field mushroom, they smell of mushrooms, just like the ones you buy in the shops, or the horse mushroom will smell of aniseed, and people get hints of almond from the prints. All of those are lovely edible smells. The smell you get from the yellow stainer and the Inky mushroom, the Agaricus moelleri, is of phenol. I believe there's phenol present in the mushroom, so it smells a bit like Indian ink, just chemically, basically, not like one of your lovely edible members of the group. But here we go. Our brightly staining Agaricus moelleri, the Inky mushroom. If you're picking your princes, make sure you know about this mushroom and look out for it. Let's go on. Little brief interlude to the mushrooms. In this field, there's obviously lots of different things grow, and on top of this anthill here, I've got a fantastic stand of one of my favourite plants. Now, bear in mind this is October. What we've got here is loads of Ladies Smock, Cardamom pratensis, which has a lovely wasabi-ish flavour, a nice bit of heat to it. That's lovely. And that's a good few salads worth, just on this one anthill. And all the anthills around here are covered in it, so happy days. Let's find some mushrooms. Right, and I'm going to finish up here just talking about these mushrooms here. If you come down and have a close look, you'll see what to quite a few of you will be easily recognisable honey fungus. But you guessed it, there is not just one type of honey fungus. There's at least 4 that I know of in the UK. So our normal and most common honey fungus is probably the Armillaria malea, which is a little bit lighter and a bit more orangey and honey coloured than this one. You've got Armillaria gallica, which I think has been renamed now, but that one is more likely to grow singly and can get a little bit bigger. And then you've got ringless honey fungus, Armillaria tubescens, which is quite distinctive because it doesn't have a skirt on the stem. And then you've got this one here, Armillaria ostoi, which is discernible by its slightly darker colouring, really, and the lack of yellow on the skirt, which I'll just show you in a second. Now, this is dark honey fungus, and if you've been on my courses, I don't know if I've mentioned it in a video before, but one of the largest living things on the planet is a mushroom that grows in Oregon that covers more than 2,300 acres in area. It's a honey fungus, and it's this type of honey fungus. So come on down, Linz, and we'll have a closer look. Now, you can see this darkness to the scales and a dark edge to the cap as well. This one over here actually being even darker. And then if I turn this over, oh, the skirt has pretty much disappeared. It's not ringless honey fungus though. There we go. You can see that double skirt again that we get on the parasols and honey fungus, where there's a flat edge to the skirt and there's no tinge of yellow really. If anything, where you do get a bit of staining, it's a little bit darker. No difference culinarily, although I have heard anecdotal reports that the dark honey fungus, or hearsay reports if you like, that the dark honey fungus could make a few more people sick. All the honey fungus should be treated with a little bit of caution. If you do try honey fungus, only try a little bit the first time, because quite a few people have a nasty gastric reaction to it. So this one, can't even remember where I've read it, but it's totally unverifiable, is reported to make a few more people sick. Now, we've looked at the blewits. There's at least 3 of those wood blewits that you might have been picking: the Irina, the Nuda, and the Sordida. We looked at the Deceivers. There was the Licata there, but believe me, the Proxima and the Bicolor are almost identical. We showed you, or I showed you today, another poisonous agaric, not the famous yellow stainer, but one more that that you do need to watch out for and not put in your bag. And I've shown you dark honey fungus, and like I say, there's 4 different types of dark honey fungus. There's 4 different types of sep. There's 4 different types of shaggy parasol, and I could go on and on and on. The grisettes are a complicated group of mushrooms that are just being figured out right now, because mycology is a frontier science. Get involved in mycology and you can still make new discoveries. Try and unravel the morel genus for me. God, there's more in the UK, more types of morel than I ever thought when I first started foraging. What I'm saying is basically that the more you learn, the less you know about mushrooms, but the learning is still great fun. And most importantly, the rules that we teach, all of the rules that I've taught on this channel and in our courses, they hold true. And they've kept me from poisoning myself. But the world of fungus, it's fascinating, and yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Come back and watch another one soon.